The station called Helix 9 floated in the darkness of space like a metal flower. It was home to the Galactic Military Academy, where young soldiers from 47 different species came to train and learn. Today was a special day. Today was the day of the reflex test. Instructor walked through the testing hall with his long insect legs clicking on the metal floor. He was a species that looked like giant praying mantises. His eyes were large and black, and they saw everything. He had tested thousands of cadets in his career. He had seen fast ones and slow ones. He had seen brave ones and scared ones. But he had never seen anything that surprised him. The machine always won. The machine was called NRU-7. It stood in the center of the room like a giant metal egg. Inside was a chair where cadets would sit. The machine would flash lights, make sounds, and send small electric touches to the skin. The cadet had to react as fast as possible. The machine measured everything. It knew exactly how fast each person could move, down to the smallest piece of a second. The testing hall was full of cadets today. They sat in rows of seats, waiting for their names to be called. Some were nervous, some were confident, some were just bored. In the third row sat a young man named Park. He was 23 years old and he came from Earth. His home was in the Seoul district, a place of tall buildings and busy streets, but that was far away now. Here he was just another cadet. Actually, he was less than that. He was a human, and humans were still new to the coalition. They had only joined 40 years ago. Most species had been members for hundreds or thousands of years. Was not tall, he was not short. His face was calm and his eyes watched everything without showing what he was thinking. He wore the same uniform as everyone else. He sat alone. He always sat alone. Next to his row sat a cadet named, was from the shallow worlds, a planet covered in warm oceans. His skin was green and wet, and his eyes were large and round like a frog. He was considered one of the fastest cadets in the class. He had been training his whole life for this. On the other side sat a being made of living crystal. Her body was purple and pink, and light moved through her like water. Her species was old and proud. They did not speak much to other races. The first name was called. A small furry cadet walked to the machine and climbed inside. The door closed. Everyone watched the screen on the wall that showed the results. The test took only 2 minutes. The furry cadet came out looking tired. His score appeared on the screen, 0.112 seconds average reaction time. It was a normal score, nothing special. More names were called. More cadets went in and came out. The scores appeared on the screen one after another. Most were between 0.09 and 0.12 seconds. These were good scores, normal scores. Then's name was called. The green amphibian stood up with confidence. He walked to the machine like he owned it. Some cadets whispered to each other. Everyone knew was fast. The door closed. The room went quiet. When came out, he was smiling. His score appeared, 0.089 seconds. It was the best score so far. Some cadets clapped, raised his webbed hand in thanks. Next was the crystal being floated to the machine without walking. Her kind did not need legs. She entered the machine and the door closed. Her score was even better, 0.076 seconds. This time, real applause filled the room. Even instructor nodded his triangular head. It was an excellent score, one of the best he had seen in years. Returned to her seat without any expression. Crystal beings did not show feelings on their faces, but everyone knew she was pleased. More cadets were tested. The day went on, waited. His name was near the end of the list. A cadet behind him, a tall being with 4 arms, leaned forward and spoke. "You are the human, yes." Turned his head slightly, "Yes." "I have heard humans are slow, weak bodies, soft skin. Is this true?" Did not answer. He just turned back to face the front. The 4-armed cadet laughed quietly. "We will see your score soon enough." Finally, after many hours, instructor looked at his list and called out, "Cadet Park, human, Earth." Some cadets looked around. They wanted to see the human. Humans were rare at the academy. Most species knew very little about them. Stood up, he walked to the machine with the same calm face he always had. His steps were not fast and not slow. He did not look at anyone. He did not look at the screen. He just walked forward like he was going to eat dinner or take a shower, like it was nothing special. Instructor watched the human with his black eyes. There was something about this one. He could not say what it was. The human moved strangely. Not wrong, just different. Like every step was exactly where it needed to be. Reached the machine. He looked at it for a moment. Then he climbed inside and sat in the chair. The door closed behind him with a soft sound. In the testing hall, the cadets waited. On the screen's name appeared with empty space next to it. Soon, that space would show his score. No one expected anything special. He was just a human. Humans were new. Humans were weak. Humans were nothing. The machine turned on. The machine screamed. It was not a human scream. It was the scream of metal and electricity and broken circuits. A high, terrible sound that filled the testing hall and made every cadet cover their ears. Inside the sphere, felt the world shake around him. Lights flashed in colors that were not part of the test. Red warning lights, emergency lights. The straps around his wrists and ankles opened automatically. He kept moving anyway. Stimulus 42. His hand moved. Stimulus 43. His other hand moved. The machine was dying, but it was still trying to test him, and he was still responding. 44, 45, 46. A crack appeared in the main sensor above his head. Sparks flew out like angry fireflies. The air smelled like burning plastic and hot metal. 47. The machine stopped. Everything stopped. For one moment there was complete silence. Then the explosion came. It was not a big explosion. The machine had safety systems that prevented anything truly dangerous, but it was loud and it was bright, and it filled the testing sphere with thick white foam that shot from the walls. Emergency systems, fire control. The machine had hurt itself so badly that the station thought there was a fire. Outside, the cadets scrambled backward. Some fell over their chairs. Some ran for the doors. Instructor shouted orders that no one could hear over the alarm bells. Pushed through the crowd trying to get closer. Her medic training was telling her to help. Someone might be hurt. The human might be hurt. The door of the testing sphere opened with a hiss. White foam poured out like a waterfall, and through the foam, a figure walked out. He was covered in foam from head to toe. It dripped from his hair and his uniform and his hands. He looked like a ghost made of white clouds. He stopped walking and looked around the hall. Everyone was staring at him. Hundreds of eyes from dozens of species, all looking at the human who had just destroyed the most advanced testing machine in the coalition. Wiped foam from his face. He blinked a few times. Then he looked at Instructor. "Was that fast enough?" he asked. His voice was calm, curious, like a student asking a teacher about homework, like nothing unusual had happened. No one spoke. No one moved. The alarm bells were still ringing, but no one seemed to hear them anymore. Was the first to react. He started laughing. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who had just seen something impossible. His whole body shook with it. "Fast enough," he said between laughs. "Fast enough," he asks. Other cadets began to murmur. The shock was wearing off, and now the questions were coming. What happened? How did he do that? Is the machine broken forever? What does this mean? Instructor walked forward on his clicking legs. He stopped in front of and looked down at the human. Was tall, much taller than any human. But right now, looking into his calm eyes, he felt small. "Cadet Park," he said. His voice was strange, tight. "You have broken the NRU-7. This machine has tested millions of cadets over 300 years. No one has ever broken it." Looked at the smoke coming from the testing sphere. "I am sorry about the machine." Sorry's head tilted to the side. You are sorry. Yes, I did not mean to break it. I was just doing the test. Stared at him for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh if could laugh. Just doing the test, he repeated. Cadet, you did not just do the test. You did something that should not be possible. The alarm bells finally stopped. Emergency workers in yellow suits were running into the hall, carrying tools and equipment. They pushed past the cadets and headed for the smoking machine. Finally reached the front of the crowd. She looked at the foam covering him, at the broken machine behind him. Are you okay? She asked in Korean. Turned to look at her. For a moment something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. He knew her. He had seen her watching him in the food hall in the training rooms. I am fine, he answered in the same language. The machine is not. What happened in there? Thought about it. The test happened, I responded. The machine could not keep up. Shook her head slowly. That machine was built to test super soldiers. It was built to handle the fastest species in the galaxy, and you broke it. Yes. How? Was quiet for a moment. He looked at his hands, still covered in foam. These hands that had moved faster than any machine could measure. These hands that his father had trained for 17 years. I do not know, he finally said. I just did what I have always done. I reacted. Around them, the testing hall was in chaos. Officers were arriving. Cadets were being pushed back. Someone was taking pictures of the broken machine. The story was already spreading through the station like fire. The human broke the machine. The human broke the machine. Within 1 hour, everyone on Helix 9 would know. Within 1 day, the whole coalition would hear about it, and nothing would ever be the same for Park again. But right now, standing in the foam and the smoke, he only felt tired. The test had taken something out of him, not his body. His body was fine, but something else, something deeper. He had spent his whole life hiding what he could do, and now, in one moment, everyone had seen. There was no hiding anymore. 3 days passed, 3 days of questions. Sat in a small white room waiting. He had been in many rooms like this over the past 3 days. Medical rooms, interview rooms, investigation rooms. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. How did a human break the unbreakable machine? The door opened and someone new walked in. This was not another doctor or investigator. This was someone important. Could tell by the way the guards outside stood when she passed. Her name was Director Halon, and she ran the entire academy. She was a species with 6 arms and skin covered in small scales. Her eyes were yellow and had no pupils. She moved slowly, like someone who had all the time in the universe. She sat down across from and looked at him with 4 of her 6 eyes. The other 2 were reading something on a small screen she held in one of her hands. Park, she said, her voice was deep and smooth. Human, born on Earth. Soul District, parents, Park, and 1 sister. No genetic modifications beyond standard coalition baseline. Neural enhancement at age 12 also standard. Nothing special. She put down the screen. Now all 6 eyes were on him. And yet, she continued, you destroyed a machine that has worked perfectly for 300 years. A machine that has tested the fastest species in our coalition. A machine that cost more than your entire home city to build. Said nothing. He had learned over the past 3 days that speaking too much only led to more questions. I have watched the recording 17 times, Halon said. My science advisors have watched it hundreds of times. They cannot explain what they saw. Your reaction speed should not be possible for a human. It should not be possible for any species we know. I am sorry about the machine, said. It was what he had said to everyone. I do not care about the machine. Halon leaned forward. I care about you. I care about what you are and what this means for the coalition. So I will ask you directly, Cadet Park, how did you do it? Thought about the question. He had thought about it many times over the past 3 days. He had thought about it his whole life. "My father," he finally said, "he trained me." "Trained you how?" "Every day since I was 6 years old. Lights, sounds, touches, he would create tests for me. In the morning before school, in the evening after dinner, on weekends and holidays, he never stopped." "Why?" Was quiet for a moment. He remembered his father's face. Serious, always serious. A man who rarely smiled but loved deeply. "On Earth," he said, "we have a concept called muscle memory. When you do something thousands of times, your body learns to do it without thinking. Your muscles remember." My father believed that humans had not yet found their true limits. He believed that with enough training we could become something more. "And he used you to prove this." "He trained me to prove it. There is a difference." Halon made a small sound. It might have been agreement. "Tell me about this muscle memory." Held up his hand. "When the light flashed in the machine, I did not think about moving. I did not decide to move. My hand just moved. It was like breathing, like my heart beating. Automatic." "But the speeds you achieved." My father said the mind is slow. The mind thinks and doubts and questions, but the body can move faster than thought. He trained me to let my body lead." Halon sat back in her chair. Her 6 arms folded and unfolded in patterns that could not read. She was thinking, processing. "The coalition has 47 species," she finally said. "Some have been members for 10,000 years. We thought we understood what bodies could do. We thought we had measured everything. And then your species joined, 40 years ago. New, unknown." She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars of space stretched forever in all directions. "Your species is strange, Cadet Park. You are not the strongest, not the fastest by nature, not the you live short lives, you break easily. And yet," she turned back to look at him, "and yet you keep surprising us." The door opened again. Walked in wearing her medic uniform. She looked nervous. "You asked to see me, Director," she said. "Yes, sit down, Cadet." Sat in the chair next to. She glanced at him quickly. He did not glance back. "You are also human," Halon said. "You have been watching Cadet Park. Tell me what you have observed." His hands were shaking slightly. She pressed them against her legs to make them stop. "He trains," she said, "more than anyone else. Late at night, when everyone is sleeping, he is in the training rooms. I have seen him practice the same movement 1,000 times in one night." "Why did you not report this?" "It is not against rules to train hard." Halon made that small sound again. "No, it is not." She walked back to her chair but did not sit. She stood over both of them, all 6 eyes watching. "Here is what will happen," she said. "Cadet Park, you will continue your training. You will graduate with your class, but you will also be studied. Our scientists want to understand what you can do. They want to know if other humans can learn to do the same." Nodded. He had expected this. "Cadet, you will be his medical monitor. You will report any changes in his health. You will also continue watching him, but now you will report what you see to me." His eyes went wide. "Me? Why me?" "Because you are human, because you already watch him, and because I believe you will be honest with me." Halon finally sat down. "The coalition is about to change, cadets. Your species has been a mystery to us for 40 years. I think it is time we started solving that mystery, and it starts with you." She waved one of her hands toward the door. "You may go." And stood and walked out together. In the hallway, grabbed his arm. "What was that?" she whispered. "What just happened?" Looked at her hand on his arm. He was not used to people touching him. "The future happened," he said, "and now we are part of it." 3 weeks had passed since the machine broke. 3 weeks of whispers and stares and questions that never stopped. But today was different. Today was the day of the new machine. The entire academy gathered in the main hall. Cadets filled every seat and lined every wall. Officers stood in neat rows near the front. Camera drones floated in the air, sending pictures to every corner of the coalition. Everyone wanted to see this. In the center of the hall stood a new testing machine. It was bigger than the old one, stronger. Its metal surface was darker and lights glowed from deep inside it. The letters on its side read, NRU-8. Director Halon stood at a podium in front of the machine. Her 6 arms were folded behind her back, and her yellow eyes swept across the crowd. Cadets and officers of the Galactic Military Academy, she began. 3 weeks ago, something happened in this hall that has never happened before. A testing machine that served us for 300 years was destroyed, not by a weapon, not by an accident, but by a single cadet who was simply taking a test. She paused. The hall was completely silent. That cadet was human. His name is Park, and he is sitting among you today. Every head turned to look at. He sat in the middle of the crowd, wearing the same uniform as everyone else. His face was calm. It was always calm. What Cadet Park did has forced us to ask difficult questions, Halon continued. Questions about our assumptions, questions about our limits, questions about what we think we know about the species in our coalition. She turned and gestured to the new machine. This is the NRU-8. It was designed by our best engineers over the past 3 weeks. It is faster. It is stronger. It can measure reactions that we did not even know were possible. She looked back at the crowd. Its official name in the engineering documents is the Human Class Reflex Assessment Unit. A murmur went through the crowd. Heard someone behind him whisper, Human Class. They named it after his species. For the first time in coalition history, Halon said, we have had to redesign our testing equipment because of a single species. This is not a small thing. This is a statement about what humans are capable of. She stepped away from the podium. The ceremony is concluded. Return to your duties. The crowd began to break apart. Cadets talked in small groups, looking at the new machine, looking at. The camera drones followed him as he stood up and walked toward the exit. He did not get far. Human stopped and turned, was walking toward him on his webbed feet. The amphibian's large eyes were fixed on his face. I need to say something to you, said. Waited. I have served alongside warriors from 30 species. His throat sacs pulsed slowly. Among his people, this was a sign of deep respect. I have trained with the fastest and the strongest. I thought I understood what a soldier could be. I thought I understood limits. He stopped in front of. They were almost the same height. I have never seen anything like what you did, said. It was not just fast, it was something else. Something I do not have words for. Shrugged, it was just a test. No, shook his head. It was not just a test. It was a message. Your species has been in the coalition for 40 years. We accepted you because you were useful, because your planet was in a good location, because you had resources we wanted. His throat sacs pulsed again. We thought we understood what you were, small, weak, short-lived, easy to break. Many species think this about humans. Yes, and we were all wrong. Reached out and put his webbed hand on shoulder. It was a gesture of equals, of warriors. I do not understand what you are, but I think you do not understand either, and that might be the most dangerous thing about your species. Looked at the green hand on his shoulder. He thought about all the years of training, all the nights of practice, all the pain and sweat and exhaustion, his father's voice always pushing, always demanding more. Neither do we, admitted, but we are still learning. Made a sound that was almost a laugh. Then I hope I am there when you finish learning. It will be something to see. He turned and walked away. Other cadets parted to let him pass. They were all still watching. A few minutes later found him standing near the new machine. The hall was almost empty now. Only a few engineers remained, checking the NRU-8 systems. Big day, she said. Yes. They named it after us, after humans. She looked at the machine with something like wonder. Do you know what that means? It means they are scared. Looked at him sharply, scared. When you do not understand something, you name it, you study it, you try to control it. Touch the cold metal of the machine. They named this machine after humans because they want to understand us. They want to measure us. They want to know our limits so they feel safe. Do we have limits? Thought about the question. He thought about his father, now old and still training every morning back on Earth. He thought about his mother who had died when he was 12, the year of his neural enhancement. He thought about his sister who was studying medicine on Mars. He thought about the millions of humans spread across the galaxy, each one carrying the same strange potential inside them, the same ability to push beyond what should be possible. I do not know, he finally said. I used to think I knew what I could do. I used to think I understood my body. And then I broke that machine, and I realized I do not understand anything. Was quiet for a moment, then she smiled. Think you can break this one too? She asked, nodding at the NRU-8. Looked at the new machine. It was bigger, stronger, designed specifically to handle human capabilities, designed specifically because of him. For the first time in weeks, he felt something move in his chest. It was not fear. It was not pride. It was something older, something his father had put there long ago. It was hunger. He allowed himself a small smile. It was the first smile anyone at the academy had ever seen from him. Give me a week, he said. Above them, the lights of Station Helix 9 hummed with energy. Outside, the stars waited in their eternal darkness. And somewhere in that vast universe, 47 species were learning a new truth about the strange, soft, short-lived creatures called humans. They were just getting started.